Welcome back, everyone. It's Aric from Rare Candy, and today we are checking out Starbirth, the newest Japanese set, and I am stoked on this one, guys, because this is going to be the, I guess you would say, the main component that's going to make up our Brilliant Star set next month. This is the set that has all the V-Stars, Ultra Ball, all that stuff, so I'm expecting pretty good things out of what we're going to see today. You know, a lot of the set was revealed ahead of time, but I do think there were a few things that, you know, kind of went unspoiled. But yeah, these are largely going to be sort of my knee-jerk reactions, my first impressions. But of course, I will be doing a full-fledged set review coming in a couple weeks as well. So if you want to stay up to date with that and the rest of my Brilliant Stars coverage, you know, scroll down, hit that subscribe button. And while you're down there, if you're feeling a little bit extra generous, leave a like on this video to help feed the dreaded YouTube algorithm. But anyways, let's go ahead and check out what sort of goodies that Starbirth is giving us. Let's see. It looks like we have a Breloom 130 for 1. You can't use this attack unless this Pokemon used Illusion Spore during your next turn. Okay, that's the first attack here. Yeah, I mean 130 for 1's okay as a stage 1, but yeah, I'm not going to be chaining these back to back. I'm sorry, unfortunately. So that seems kind of bad. Looks like we have a Tropius though. Let's see. Each of your grass Pokemon that has any grass energy attached can't be affected by confusion. This Pokemon are already confused. Remove that special condition. So that's interesting. I kind of feel like this should just prevent any special conditions. That I don't know why they're singling out confusion here. Confusion is really not something we have to worry about right now. So yeah, not a big fan of that, but you know, a card to keep in mind if nothing else. Alrighty guys, so we're getting into Torterra. This was one of the earlier reveals from this set, but I remember Grottle being good here. So yeah, it has this ability. You may search your deck for a grass Pokemon, reveal, put it into your hand. Definitely a really solid ability for a stage 1 like this. If you are building a Torterra deck, you know, at least this guy will kind of help you keep chaining your attackers throughout the course of the game. So definitely very, very good. This is the same ability we've seen in the past on the Grovyle from my beloved Sceptile GX deck from back in the day. Or also kind of like the old Dragon Call Gabite as well. So, you know, we'll have to see what Torterra does, but in theory, this could be a good stage 1 for that deck. But yeah, let's see what this guy does. Very interesting art, very unique art style. Huh. But oh, Torterra is very beefy, 190 HP, fire weakness, 4 retreat cost. Let's see, grass color is 50, 50 for each of your evolution Pokemon in play. Okay, and then 160, which we're never going to use because that's really dumb. But first attack is actually cool, guys. You know, I guess we run through the math, if our entire field is evolution Pokemon, that's what, 5 times 6, so 300. You know, we're a little bit shy of knocking out VMAXs, unfortunately, but I don't think this attack is awful, if I'm being honest. I know the second energy is kind of annoying, but we can get there with things like Cherim. Or Raihan, either one of those I think are going to be just fine. And of course with Grottle here, or Grotle, this guy's going to help power up or fuel our attack for the rest of the game as well. So I actually kind of like Torterra. This is definitely going to be probably one of my pet decks that I wind up messing around with, but not an awful stage 2. I've definitely seen worse. Okay, so next up we have the Burmy evolutions. These got revealed like literally like a day or so ago. But there's going to be 3 of these of different types, and they all have this like revenge style attack, 30 plus 10 for every Pokemon in your discard. So of course the big Pokemon this is going to be similar to is going to be Vespiquen. But yeah, the issue is that the damage output from these cards is a little bit weaker than we really want. I think Vespiquen was 20 plus 10, if I remember right. 10 plus 10 or 20 plus 10. But either way, HPs are so much higher now that I think this realistically would have needed to be like 30 plus 20 for each, or like 60 or 80 plus 10. So yeah, they're cool, but and we don't have Battle Compressor either. So I think these cards are nostalgia bait, if I had to guess. We do have Mothim, which isn't the worst thing in the world. 30 plus 90 if you evolved from Burmy this turn. I think just play your Wormadams. That's going to be generally a little bit better. But yeah, not a big fan of this thing. So we finally have our first V-Star that we're looking at. Of course, this is going to be a little bit of an older one that's been revealed for a while now. But this is going to be Shaman V-Star. And oh my God, what is wrong with this art? Man, They did my boy Shaman dirty here. This guy is so derpy. Like, look at this face. Oh my god. Shaman's not living his best life with this Shaman V here. But okay, Wing Flap does 30, not great, but then Revenge Burst 60, plus 40 for each prize card your opponent has already taken. So this attack, honestly not bad. So if your opponent takes 5 prizes, you're doing 260. That's a lot to ask for. 260 doesn't really knock out too much. This seems kind of weak to me. I'm not a big fan. But as a pre-evolution, this isn't a bad attack. But I just think the numbers for this are kind of awkward. But let's check out the evolution. Okay, so we have... Okay, same attack, but 120 base damage. So that bumps us up to, what, 320, right? 200 plus... Yeah, so we can do 320, which is a good number. That definitely one-shots a lot of VMAXs. Takes care of all of the Pokemon VSTAR. Okay, non-awful attack. But then, of course, we have our first VSTAR power. This is going to be kind of like the old GX attacks, if you guys aren't too familiar with them. But it's like a once per game sort of attack or ability you're allowed to use here. But this one, you may use this ability during your turn. Heal 120 from each of your grass Pokemon. I mean, you could play this with like Leafeon VMAX. That's definitely sort of the only relevant grass attacker that we have right now. I don't know if you're slotting in a 1/1 line of Shaman into your deck, though. Yeah, not too impressed with this evolution line. Like, Revenge Burst is good, but this is the Revenge Burst we want to use. We don't really want to use this one, just because this one hits for much better numbers. But because this is a VSTAR, that means it's not splashable like the base form is. So yeah, the Shamans seem kind of awkward for the moment, I think. Alrighty guys, next up we have the Money Pit. That is Charizard V and VSTAR. Yeah, let's check this guy out. Or let's check out the V first, just to be fair. We do have a couple other Charizard Vs running around. I forget what they do, to be honest, so I'm not sure how this one stacks up. But 2 fire and a colors to do 90 and discard all Pokemon tools. Whatever, and then 180 for 4. Not great. This guy is pretty much filler, but of course you want to evolve into Charizard VSTAR. So 280 HP, which makes this like one of the 2 tankiest VSTARs that we are getting out of the gate. But same energy cost here. This guy 130 plus 100 if this Pokemon has any damage counters on it. Okay, I mean that's not too hard to pull off because we do have the there's a new stadium card coming out that will accelerate energy for fire Pokemon and get damage counters on them. So I actually don't think this is too unreasonable to power up. And then Starblaze, that's going to be its VSTAR power, 320, discard 2 energy. The issue is right now that fire Pokemon, even though they are getting a little bit of acceleration in this set, the acceleration is not good enough to really support these Pokemon with these 3 and 4 energy attacks. So this might be sort of a classic Charizard card. And what I mean by that is like Charizard has like notoriously been bad in the TCG, but always gets these cards that have these huge energy costs that do massive amounts of damage that are like unrealistic to ever use. And that's kind of what we have here with Charizard VSTAR. But, you know, if we ever get like a welder reprint or some other way at cheating more energies in play, I mean, yeah, Charizard VSTAR could be good, but yeah, for the moment, I'm not too impressed though. All right, so we have Magmortar, which looks very gimmicky. Does 120 plus 120 if Electivire is on your bench. But yeah, kind of awkward. You know, if this was 2 energy, I would be a little bit more enthused because we could attach fire energy and then accelerate a fire with our stadium card. But 3 energy makes this kind of a hard pass. Like even, well, I should wait to see what Electivire does. Let's actually just go ahead and check that one out before we get any further. Because if Electivire accelerates energy or something like that, you know, maybe we can talk about Magmortar a little bit more. But Electivire here, yeah, no energy acceleration with this thing, so seems pretty bad. Yeah, we're just going to pass on this guy as well. So Magmortar and Electivire, total meme. Ooh, we do have my homie Infernape a little bit further down, but we have Moltres up first. This was another pretty early reveal. Has the Inferno Wings attack, 20 plus 70 if you have any damage counters, but it's not affected by weakness. So it's kind of like Zapdos or Hoopa, but of course for fire Pokemon now. But this guy does require a stadium to make use of this, which isn't that hard to do. I think if you're playing you're probably playing a 4 count anyways of the stadium, so not awful. And this damage output isn't bad because a lot of Pokemon I think are going to be hitting in that mid 200s range. So you could, like, for example, soften up a VMAX, then, you know, pick them off with Moltres here for the final little bit of damage you need, or vice versa. So Moltres actually doesn't seem horrible to me. I do kind of like this card. All right, so we got our homie Infernape. I love Infernape. Debatably my favorite fire starter. I know that might be a little bit debatable, but I love this guy. Doesn't usually get good cards, or it's been a while since he has, at least. Very nice art though, but let's see. Okay, we got Fire Vortex for a fire energy, or reveal the top 5 cards of your deck. That's 80 for each energy revealed in this way. Then discard those energy cards and shuffle the other cards back into your deck. Okay, that's honestly not too bad. The fact that it doesn't force you to discard the other cards is really big, because stage 2 decks usually have a lot of moving pieces running around in your deck, and you don't want to be discarding things like rare candy and stuff. So this seems kind of cool. The issue with a card like this though is that stage 2s usually require like a lot of just physical deck space just to get up and running. And this attack really is the type of attack that you want in a deck with a lot of extra space. You really want to include like a ton of fire energy. Like, I'm thinking you want to play 20 plus fire energy, and I just don't think you're probably going to have the space to do that with this being a stage 2. If this was like a basic, yeah, all day, but yeah, stage 2, probably not too great. Then 160 discard all energy. Not too great for Infernape, unfortunately, but hey, just happy to have another Infernape card. All right, so we have a new Lapras, 2 water and a colorist is 110. If any of your Pokemon were knocked out by damage from an attack during your opponent's last turn, your opponent's active is now paralyzed. Okay, not the worst thing in the world. You know, in theory, we can attack, paralyze, then next turn finish them off with, you know, one of our VMAXs or something that does a little bit more damage than this. So I don't hate this, but the issue is like a lot of decks are running Inteleon, and they can usually just search out the switch that they might need. If we do see the format gear more and more towards cards like Air Balloon, this attack definitely could be one to keep an eye on, maybe for Frostmoth decks. Probably not the best for Melanie based decks, just because we can't Melanie to Lapras. So yeah, this would have to be powered up with Frostmoth or Frostlass, and neither of those are really seeing a whole lot of play, so probably not a card that's going to do a whole lot immediately, but still an okay attack. Alrighty guys, next up we have Inteleon, and I do remember this card because it really annoyed me with the way this thing was designed. So let's check this thing out. Gorgeous art, love Empoleon. This guy looks sweet. But yeah, has this ability, once during your turn, if this card is in your discard and you have no cards in your hand, you can place onto your bench and draw 3. So this is really cool. This is going to be a way to help cheat your stage 2s in play. That's always a good thing. They definitely need help with that. And also could be splashed into other decks that aren't playing any way to attack with Empoleon here. And unfortunately, that looks like the way they're sort of pushing this card, because this attack is god-awful. Just water to do 60 to one of your opponent's Pokemon. This is really annoying. Like, why even print this on an Empoleon? Why not just print this on like a stage 1 or something? Because like, it basically means that these 2 cards are worthless. There's no argument whatsoever to be made to actually attack with this thing. You're basically just playing this to be able to use this ability. And in that context, is there a world where we're playing Empoleon? I don't know. A part of me wants to just play like Cricketune V or something like that instead. So, I mean, the ability's neat. There is a world maybe this sees play, but yeah, definitely underwhelming. I definitely would have preferred a decent attack to be able to basically just use the ability as an alternate way at getting Empoleons into play. But anyways, probably not the greatest stage 2 that we've seen. Alrighty, next up we have Floatzel, and I do remember people talking about this card, you know, a little bit earlier when it got revealed initially, but it has the attack Floatify, put 2 item cards from your discard back into your hand. So yeah, this is definitely like a mill style or control style card. Absolutely. It's just like the old Junk Hunt Sableye actually, but on a stage 1. Sableye has definitely seen a lot of play over the years for this same effect. This is a stage 1, so that does make it a little bit worse, but luckily standard is a bit slower than a format like expanded where Sableye has seen play. So you might be able to get away with having to evolve into these Floatzels to pull this off. But yeah, you can get back things like I guess Cross Butcher would be one of the main ones you'd be thinking about, and just other disruption cards like Crushing Hammers. I'm not a control player, so I don't have a whole lot of great insight, but you know, I wouldn't be surprised if this thing did well. Alrighty guys, we have Lumineon, definitely going to be one of the highlights of the set here. But yeah, great ability. It's just like the old Tapu Lele GX. Whenever we bench it, we get to search our deck for a supporter card. Great, love it. So not only does that make your deck just more consistent, being able to find those researches, those Marnies, those bosses whenever you need them, but I've really been missing a card like this just because having something like this really allows you to play more tech supporters. Like think of how a lot of Inteleon based decks are. You know, since they can search out their supporters whenever they need them, they can get away with playing other things, you know, like Phoebe or, you know, other random one-of supporters kind of like that. And now Lumineon looks to be able to give that same sort of utility to other non-Inteleon based decks. And I really do love that. Now, supporters can't be played turn 1, so this does make this a little bit worse than Tapu Lele GX, but yeah, guys, I'm really excited for this. And actually, at the time of recording, I'm actually putting together an entire Lumineon-based video. So if you guys want to hear more about that, I will be dropping a video on that this coming week. So make sure you are subbed to stay up to date with that. But yeah, great card. Definitely one of my favorites we've seen so far. All right, we have a new Manaphy. And it says, yes, yes, we finally have Bench Barrier back. Yeah, prevent all damage done to your bench Pokemon by your opponent's attacks. Oh, thank God. I've been so sick of Rapid Strike Urshifu being able to just bulldoze through single prize decks and stuff like that. Yeah, this format needed this so bad. I am so stoked with this card. Definitely my favorite card we've seen of this set just yet. Love this thing. Lovable, searchable as well. So yeah, absolutely great. Can't say enough good things about this. Definitely a great card, I think, just for the format in general. So big thumbs up on Manaphy here. All right, we have Beartic, and ooh, very, very unique art style with this. I'm actually not familiar with this artist. This might be actually a new one for the game, but yeah, very cool art style. It has Sheer Cold. During your opponent's next turn, the defending Pokemon can't attack. They can just retreat. They can play Switch. So yeah, card's not that good. Does look very nice though. But we have Raichu, another card that did get revealed a little bit ahead of time. But yeah, I remember this card being kind of good. Weak to fighting, of course, something to keep in mind with this thing. But fast charge, if you go first, you can use this attack on your first turn, search your deck for a lightning energy and attach it to this Pokemon. Love that. Definitely would like to see more attacks kind of in this vein. So that's good. But then Dynamic Spark, 2 lightning, 60, you may discard any lightning from your Pokemon in play, 60 for each one you discard. Okay, now that's a very solid attack. Kind of similar to Alchemy VMAX, is a little bit weaker, which is fair since this is a basic and not a VMAX. But yeah, I think now Flappy decks have some other sort of alternate way at nuking stuff without Rayquaza VMAX. So let's see, Rayquaza needs what, 4 energy? You need to fire plus 4 lightnings to be able to one-shot anything. Whereas this needs 6. Okay, so you do need a little bit more energy. Oh, but this is just any energy in play. Okay, that's not horrible then. So I guess maybe with just EXP shares and a ton of Flappies, that's what we're doing here. I don't know. I could definitely see this being a good finisher for some sort of Flappy based deck. So yeah, I kind of like Raichu. We do have a free retreat Shinx though. That is kind of cool. 40 HP sucks, like really bad, but free retreat is nice at least. Let's see. Art does look nice. I do like this 3D art they got going here. But Energy Crush, 50 times the amount of energy attached to all of your opponent's Pokemon. Okay. So if they have 4 energy, that's 200. That's a 2-shot on VMAXs. Yeah, not too crazy about this, I have to say. It's not awful, but yeah, it's just not what we want, guys. It's a little underpowered. And then Flash Impact is 110 and does 32. Oh, one of our bench Pokemon? That's annoying. I really wish this was 30 to one of our opponents. Like, even that wouldn't have been broken. I don't know. Luxray is a little bit on the weaker side, but I do like it does have 1 single energy attack cost. That's cool, at least. Gives us a lot more deck space than a lot of Stage 2 decks can afford, so I don't know. I might tinker around with it, but not a great card. We got Pachirisu. Okay, and Lightning Colorist. 30 times the amount of Pokemon tool cards attached to all of your Pokemon. Okay, so it's like Tool Drop. Tool Drop is a deck we've seen over the years, usually to not the greatest success. So we do have Garbodor VMAX, so that is good. That will allow us to be able to store more tool cards on our Pokemon. But I kind of just want to play Whimsicott, if I'm being honest. Like, Whimsicott hits for a little bit harder. Well, I guess the trade-off is you don't have to discard all of your tools. And this is a basic, so this is probably just as good as Whimsicott, and that's not saying a whole lot right now. So I like the card. I'm going to keep my eye on it. I'm definitely going to mess around with it. I'm just not convinced just yet that it's going to be good. Okay, we have Dusknoir. This was another early reveal. As often as you like, you may move a special energy from one of your Pokemon to another one of your Pokemon. So that's kind of cool. I do kind of like that. I mean, what deck are you playing this in? That's kind of the issue, though. I mean, I guess that could be useful for single strike decks. Like, rapid strike decks mainly discard their energy, thinking of Urshifu, for example. Fusion strike decks, I mean, you don't really want to play Dusknoir in those decks. Yeah, I'm just like, where do we play this? That's the issue. I mean, you could play this with some sort of other VMAX and do like Cheryl shenanigans and stuff like that. But yeah, knee-jerk reaction, not too great. Okay, up next we finally have another V-Star. We have Whimsicott. This is going to be the one that had not yet been revealed. So let's check out the base form Whimsicott V here. And let's see, for a Psychic, this 20, and if the defending is a basic, it can't attack. Not like the worst attack for a single energy on like a evolving Pokemon V. Cotton Guard, not too great. But let's check out the V-Star. Very nice artwork. I absolutely love the way all the V-Stars look with like the silver and gold and everything. I absolutely love them. But let's see what this thing does. 250 HP, so it is going to be on the weaker side of our V-Star Pokemon, but Psychic 2 colors does 160, and your opponent can't play tools or special energy from their hand next turn. Chaos Wheel, basically. It's like the old Giratina EX. So that's cool. Since we probably have to play Shadow Rider to power this thing up, you could actually, in theory, lock your opponent the entire game, because Shadow Rider V for 1 energy can lock special energy already. So while you're trying to set this up, you can already be locking them for like kind of a low amount of damage. So yeah, that seems like a really easy way at just ruining the day of special energy based decks. And 160 is a good number too, because obviously 160, 2 shots most things, V-Star power, Cotton Ball Star, for a psychic energy to 60 to one of your opponent's Pokemon for each energy attached to this Pokemon. Okay, yeah, so we're playing this with Shadow Rider. That's sort of what they're pushing here. But yeah, that's good. Definitely seems pretty solid as like a big blow up attack to finish off the game. But yeah, Whimsicott seems okay. Instead of playing Alchemy to just like nuke stuff with Shadow Rider, you could play just kind of like a more control defensive based version like this. So that seems like it has some merit to. Definitely want to experiment with that, see how it does. But yeah, Whimsicott definitely has a little bit of promise. See, we have Sigilyph here. So try recharge, flip 3 coins for each head, attach a basic energy from your discard to one of your bench Pokemon. Yeah, not too great, guys. We have Shadow Rider already to accelerate energy, so I don't think we need Sigilyph here. Okay, we have the second Wormadam. Again, same attack here, but it's fighting type, so you can hit certain things like Eternatus for weakness, so that is kind of nice at the least. Okay, we have Lucario. I think this actually might have been like the first non-V-Star that was revealed, if I remember right. Definitely one of the earlier reveals we saw from this set, but yeah, it has this ability. Once during your turn, you can put 2 damage counters on this Pokemon. If you do, search your deck for a fighting energy and attach it to this Pokemon. So it's kind of like the old the team up Charizard, right? A little bit worse because it's only 1 energy, not 2, but it is a stage 1 to be fair, instead of a stage 2 like Charizard was. But 2 fighting does 10, discard all fighting, attach this Pokemon to 60 for each one you discard. Okay, so if you discard 2, you're doing 130. Not a bad number to hit for. Like, it's not the worst. I guess with things like Raihan, you can cheat that up a little bit higher. Or like, because these are so easy to get in play, while you're attacking with 1, you can always have like another Lucario. You're just like slowly powering up bigger and bigger on the bench. Like, that does kind of open you up to things like boss's orders and stuff. But it's honestly not like a horrible stage 1, but it seems like slightly weaker than I would have liked it to be. Like, I would like to be two-shotting VMAXs without a third energy. I should say that. I would like to be able to comfortably two-shot VMAXs, and then if we get a third energy, we can one-shot regular Pokemon V. That's what I would have liked with this thing. So a little bit underpowered for where I think it needs to be. All right, guys, we have Golurk, which... Is this the first fighting Golurk we've seen thus far? I think there was a fighting Golett at some point, if I remember right, but I can't recall a fighting Golurk that we've had. But there's probably a bad one somewhere that I'm just forgetting about. But either way, new Golurk here, 150 HP, 30, plus 10 for each card in your hand. Okay, not too great. Unlimited damage cap is nice, but I think I'd rather just play the fighting Wormadam. It's like the same attack, but a lot easier to pull off. So yeah, big pass on this guy. All right, we have Muck up next, another card that was revealed kind of recently. But cool ability, if your opponent's active is poison, their retreat cost is 1 more. So yeah, you can play this with Leafeon VMAX if you really want to, but you have to find ways to poison them, and suddenly you're like building a really, really clunky Leafeon deck. So yeah, as long as we have Galar Mind, I don't expect this guy to really see any play. Yeah, pass on Muck for sure. Okay, we have Honchkrow up next. Let's see. Ability. If this Pokemon... Oh, okay. This Pokemon can have 4 Pokemon tool cards attached to it, and if the ability stops working, discard till you have 1. So there we go. That is going to help our Pachirisu that we just looked at earlier, and also Whimsicott. Whimsicott is my homie, one of my favorite stage ones. So I am definitely going to be messing around with this. In Whimsicott, absolutely. Because prior to this, with Whimsicott, you could like kind of like get up to the numbers that you needed to one-shot V-Stars, but you were never able to one-shot Pokemon VMAX. But with Honchkrow, I mean, you don't have to worry about that anymore. So Whimsicott might be worth taking another look at, especially since we're getting Manaphy to protect your bench and whatnot too. So yeah, I'm feeling Honchkrow. Definitely like this card a lot. So next we do have the Metal Wormadam. Again, it's just like the other ones, but it's Metal type, so you can hit things like Whimsicott for weakness if the V-Star does end up catching on. I mean, you gain Saucer, but I don't think that matters really. Oh, now I will say the one thing that actually could make a difference for the Metal one specifically is you do get access to Galarian Berserker, and Meowth has a really good discarding effect. So you could, in theory, play like a thick Berserker line and, you know, just toss away the extra copies that you don't need to do more damage. So that, I don't know, that seems kind of neat. I mean, Berserker doesn't work for the other Wormadams, but I kind of like that, I hate to say. So maybe I'll mess around with that, but something to think about, if nothing else. Alrighty, so we have a Heatran here. Interesting attack for metal, or 2 metal colors does 80, and if you have fire energy attached, it does 80 more. So 160 is like an okay two-shotting number, but this is kind of a clunky attack cost. Like, I feel like there's so many easier ways at doing 160, like even with single prizers. Yeah, so attack cost is just a little bit clunky, even though it's doable because you can like saucer attach and be good to go. But yeah, probably just a little too weak, I think. Okay, we have Klinklang. Okay, I actually do like the art on this thing, and again, another artist I really don't recognize at all here. I'm not familiar with this one, but a lot of these new artists that we've been seeing in this set, they seem pretty good. So I'm not complaining. But it says your basic Pokemon take 20 less. Get out of here. I ain't playing no cards that are helping basic Pokemon. Yeah, this card's not that good. We have Flygon V. Okay. Let's see how our homie Flygon's doing. Oh, I already see, haven't even read the text, but I just see grass, 2 colorless, or grass, 2 fighting colorless. And I'm just thinking this is probably about to be really bad. So let's see. 160 if your opponent's active as a Pokemon VMAX does 160 more and discard 3 energy. Jesus Christ. Like, bro, it's already gonna take like us moving mountains to be able to get this thing powered up, and then you're gonna ask me to get rid of my energy that I've worked so hard to get on this thing. This card is awful. I'm sorry. Yeah, I just don't see a great way at powering this thing up too. Like, you could go Rillaboom attached to Raihana fighting and attach a fighting for turn. I mean, I guess like you can do that. There's got to be another way. Arceus VSTAR. Arceus VSTAR and V, I'm pretty sure they accelerate like multiple basic energies. There's Cafe Master that's coming out. Yeah, for all the work you have to put in though, I would just rather play other better cards. Alrighty guys, next up we have Garchomp, and gotta say I am a little bit let down because I don't know if you guys follow the Rare Candy Twitter account, but I was basically posting about how Garchomp's like kind of cool, but it really needs something else to like put it over the edge to actually be good. It needed like a good ability on Gible or a good setup of like attack on it or something like that, or like the old Dragon Call Gabite, but these guys are awful. Just 2 energy attacks for do 30 and 70. You're like never going to even attack with these things ever. But Garchomp is a cool card. I'm still going to mess around with it. This card is going to be covered on the channel. I will go on like a 0-10 lose streak on PTCGO if that's what I have to do, but I love this thing. It's really cool. So 160 HP. Ability, whenever you play this Pokemon from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon during your turn, may prevent all damage from and effects of attacks done to this Pokemon during your opponent's next turn. So that's really cool. Your opponent has to 2-shot your Garchomp. I mean, they can go like Escape Rope Boss if they really feel like just ruining your day, but not every deck is going to have a way at doing that. So I think most of the time your Garchomp is going to be safe. It's just your opponent can still pick off things on the bench with things like Boss's Orders. So yeah, what would have been broken, and I tweeted this on Twitter, is if we had the ability on the Unified Minds Axew on Gible to where they can't play supporters to target it. That would have been so good, but yeah, we weren't so lucky, unfortunately. But the attack isn't horrible. For water fighting, this 160, discard the top 2 of your deck. 160 is a decent 2-shotting number. So yeah, I'll still mess with Garchomp. Probably just, it's like just narrowly not good enough though. Okay, next we have Farfetch'd. Let's see. Okay, 20 plus 10 for each damage counter on your opponent's active. So this is just like the, I think it was Kangaskhan, or no, it was Zangoose. That's what it was. There was a Zangoose recently that did something kind of like this. So this guy is level ball searchable. I don't think Zangoose was, so that definitely is nice. But yeah, it's kind of like the Basculin that we have right now for Rapid Strike cards. But of course, this guy is not a Rapid Strike Pokemon, so you are going to have to use stuff like Twin Energy or the Turbo Double Energy, whatever it's called, that we're getting in this set too. Honestly, isn't an awful attack. If you soften up your opponent already, you can maybe retreat, get your VMAX out of harm's way, and just use this guy instead. So Farfetch'd, there is a world where this pops up as a one-of. All right, we have Staraptor. Let's see, Strong Breeze. Your opponent shuffles their active back into their deck. Haven't we seen this on another bird stage too? Was it Unpheasant, I want to say? Anyways, we don't have triple excel, so this attack cost is not going to be easily powered up. So I'm probably going to pass on this thing, but it's a meme. Next up we have by Burrell. And I actually do kind of like the art on this thing. But anyways, 120 HP, not going to be level ball searchable, kind of a bummer. But this ability, once during your turn, ooh, you may draw until you have 5 cards. Okay, we got our homie Octillery from Breakthrough back. Same ability. Unfortunate, again, this guy doesn't have 90 HP. That would have been really good to make this evolution line a little bit more easily searchable. But yeah, this is a great ability. We've seen this in the past with the old Octillery from back in the day. Saw a ton of play in a variety of different decks. And now that we're getting Ultra Ball in this same set as well to lower our hand size a little bit easier, an ability like this definitely is good. We're not susceptible to Path to the Peak as well. So I like Burrell. I would be surprised if this didn't pop up at some point. Okay, next up, guys, we have Arceus VSTAR, the big mascot of the set. I know this guy accelerates energy, but I kind of forget specifically what it has going on here. So we got Trinity Charge, search your deck for 3 basic energy cards, attach them to your Pokemon V in any way that you like. Okay, so this is going to be limited to Pokemon V. A little bit annoying, but that's cool. So for double colorless, how are we getting this powered up? Probably double turbo energy. But the issue with that is like you would you want to be running double turbo energy in a deck where other Pokemon outside of your Arceus can use it. Otherwise, those are just like 4 awkward slots that are taken up in your deck. So yeah, it seems like your partners for Arceus are going to be ones that have very like weird energy cost. They're either going to be like dragon types, or they're going to be Pokemon that have like multiple colorless energy in their attack cost as well. So I don't know. Attack seems okay. All right, so the VSTAR, 280 HP, again, making this the tankiest of all our VSTARs that we have right now. But Training Nova, 3 energy, 200, search your deck for 3 basic energies, attach them to your Pokemon V any way that you like. Okay, so that seems cool. We can keep chaining energy throughout the course of a game. I just don't know what we're playing Arceus VSTAR with, because right now it just looks like you're playing an Arceus VSTAR deck, which might be okay. Because with double turbo energy, that puts you down to 180. And that's still a 2-shot on everything, so that's okay. But let's see. Also, for its VSTAR power, during your turn, you may search your deck for up to 2 cards, put them into your hand. Okay. Yeah, this ability is really good. I forgot that it had this. Yeah, this ability seems really, really, really good. Searching for 2 cards is cool, because that also gives you an out to getting like very combo specific cards, like, you know, 2 Power Tablet or 2 Cross Catcher or anything like that. So yeah, Starbirth seems really, really good. Again, just for the attacks with Arceus V and VSTAR, I'm not sure what we're playing this with just yet, but I really do love the Starbirth ability. Okay, we have Tornadus. I'm pretty sure we got this card revealed ahead of time. This artwork looks a little familiar to me. But whenever we put this Pokemon from hand on the bench, you may have your opponent switch their active with one of their bench Pokemon, but your opponent does choose. So this is like the old Hawlucha from the late XY era. Maybe it was early Sun and Moon, I forget. But we used to have a Hawlucha that did the same thing. But we do have Scoop Up Net in the format right now. That is one thing Hawlucha did not have at the time. So if you are a Scoop Up based deck, you definitely could be playing this. And we've seen things like Fion see play in the past before it rotated, and this does kind of fill that same role. So yeah, Tornadus doesn't seem awful. I'm not really sure what I'm playing it in, but I like the ability. So if you are playing like a Scoop Up Net engine, this is at least a card you're going to have to consider and see if it has maybe some synergy with your main attacker, but not an awful ability. Alright guys, that's all of our Pokemon, but getting into our trainer cards, we have a fresh Water Set reprint back from Primal Clash. Pretty sure it was Primal Clash at least. But you heal 20 from each of your Pokemon. We do have a good bit of sniping and bench damage going around right now, so this has never been an impactful card, really. So I'm not really expecting a whole lot to change in that regard, but hey, I guess nice to have it back. Of course, we have the GOAT. We have Ultra Ball coming back into the game. For better or for worse, you know, like, I am a little bit conflicted because Ultra Ball is an amazing card. Definitely one of the best search cards of all time. But I am kind of worried that search lines and decks are going to basically just be like 4 Quick Ball, 4 Ultra Ball going forward. I did kind of like the diversity in our searching options that we had, and this might potentially overshadow some of those other options now that we have this. But it's a great card, guys. We discard 2 cards from our hand, search your deck for a Pokemon. Enough said. This helps a lot of decks, helps things like Mad Party, Flaffy decks, you know, really anything that wants stuff in the discard. And this is going to help lower our hand size as well for other decks that are playing things like Crobat or the new Barrel that we just looked at as well. So yeah, Ultra Ball, it's a slam dunk. If you don't have 4 of these already, make sure you pick them up, guys. They're going to be in like almost every deck. So amazing card. Probably the best card of the set. At least one of them, absolutely. Alrighty, so we have Choice Belt. Oh, I see plus 30. Is this what I think it is, guys? So the attacks of the Pokemon this card is attached to do 30 more damage to, yes, your opponent's active Pokemon V before applying weakness and resistance. Okay, so yes, this is effectively a Choice Band reprint. It is limited to just Pokemon V and not Rulebox Pokemon, which is, you know, a little bit concerning. I kind of wish they would have done that to future-proof this card, but I'm not going to complain too much. I've been wanting something like this for a while now, and this is definitely going to be a big buff, not only to most decks out there, but single prize decks. That's something I'm really excited for. A lot of single prize decks are going to love this. And also, I just did a recent video on like some of the best Pokemon to deal with Pokemon VSTAR that hit in that 200, like 70, 80, 90 damage range. And a card like this actually might take some of those cards to being even better. They might actually be able to not only once one-shot V-Stars, but also V-Maxes. So if you guys didn't see that video, I'll link that in the description and on screen as well. So there might be some good partners for this over there. But amazing card, guys. Absolutely incredible. Definitely going to be one of the best cards in the set. I was very worried they weren't going to give this to us because we've been getting all of those glove cards that haven't been that great. So I'm glad they finally caved in and just said, screw it, we're going to reprint Choice Band. And they did. So very happy to see it. Alrighty, guys, next up we have Pot Helmet, which was a card that we did kind of learn about in advance. But it's kind of like the inverse of Choice Belt that we just saw. If the Pokemon this card is attached to doesn't have a rule box, it takes 30 less damage from your opponent's attacks. The issue is, while I appreciate this gesture of giving non-rule box Pokemon some help, in practice it really doesn't do anything because most single prize Pokemon have less than 200 HP. And I mean, the 30 reduction doesn't really matter when everything hits for above 200. So yeah, card, it's a nice gesture, but it ultimately is pretty worthless, unfortunately. Okay, we have Kindler, another early reveal. But this says you can only use this card if you discard a fire energy from your hand, so that shouldn't be too hard. But then discard the top 7 cards of your deck, put up to 2 of them in your hand, then shuffle the other back into your deck. So it's kind of cool. Only looking at 7 makes me question if I want to play this. This effect isn't bad, but I almost kind of would rather just play Research, discard the fire energy that's already in my hand and see 7. Rather than just 2 of the 7. Now, I mean, of course, if you don't want to discard your hand, this makes sense, but yeah, not sure how I feel about this one just yet. So we have Cynthia's Ambition. Draw until you have 5, and if any of your Pokemon were knocked out during your opponent's last turn, draw until you have 8 instead. Okay, guys, so this is a card that Lumineon definitely could help because you can search it out on the turns that you need it. And now that we have Ultra Ball coming back as well, it's easy to lower our hand size to draw a ton of cards. So yeah, this card could be good. I imagine if we do see this see play, it'll be as like a one of, or trying to think, maybe like the Malamar deck could like this. Like I'm trying to think, that might be one of the only decks I can think of where you would play more than just a single copy. So yeah, I kind of like Cynthia's Ambition. I've seen worse supporter cards. We got Sharon's Care, another early reveal. Put one of our colorless Pokemon that has damage counters on them. All cards attach them back into our hand. So yeah, we can play this with Arceus VSTAR that we just saw. But the card that's really, I think, come to most people's mind has been Togekiss VMAX because you know, VMAXs are going to be one of the main ways you can tank. And I think a lot of the time the V-Stars, even though they have a good bit of HP, a lot of Pokemon can still pretty comfortably knock them out. So this, I think, is most likely going to be with VMAXs because they can actually sustain a hit. But ideally, you want to put a Pokemon into your hand that can also attack for a single attachment. And Togekiss is one of the only ones that can do that right now. Yeah, maybe Charon will see play. It's kind of like an Acerola just for colorless Pokemon. Acerola, of course, was an amazing card. But yeah, this is really only as good as the quality of colorless Pokemon that can be powered up in a single turn. So we do have a Professor's Research reprint, and this is a proper reprint. I do want to point out this is not just an alternate art because we do have the updated regulation mark. So Research is going to be staying around, and you have a new art to pick from. This art's fine, I guess, but I am curious to see the full art to decide which Research I am going to go with going forward. But hey, cool to see Research stick around, I guess. We have Roseanne's Backup. This was another early leak that we saw. And this card is pretty cool. We can choose one or more of these effects. Shuffle a Pokemon from discard into your deck, shuffle a tool card into your deck, shuffle a stadium card, and shuffle an energy. So that's some pretty decent recovery, especially because tools, stadiums, and energy, special energy specifically, I want to point out, usually don't have the best ways at being recovered. So the fact that this doesn't say basic energy is honestly huge. Stadiums as well. This can be like your 5th path to the peak if you really want it to be, which is very, very annoying. So yeah, this card seems cool. You would definitely need to be playing some sort of Lumineon V in your deck to be able to find this whenever you need it, or you need to be playing like the Inteleon engine. But yeah, as long as you're playing a deck that has a decent way at searching this, I think this could be a decent recovery supporter. So I do like this. Very curious to see what decks this is going to pop up in. All right, guys, so we also have a Boss's Orders reprint, and I gotta say, my boy Cyrus has a lot more swag than the Professor Rowan reprint that we just saw a second ago for research. But yeah, Boss is staying around. You can tell by the new regulation mark down here. Card is still good. And for our stadiums, we do have a couple here. We have Collapse Stadium, and this card is kind of cool. It's kind of like the old Sudowoodo, or kind of like Parallel City. But each player can't have more than 4 bench Pokemon. If a player has 4 or more, they have to discard until they have 4. And the player who played this card discards first. And if more than one effect changes the number of bench Pokemon, use the smaller number. Okay, so yeah, this is going to limit our opponent's bench size a little bit, which definitely could be good. I'm thinking almost more for yourself though, just because I could see playing this to discard your Crobat B from play, your Lumineon B from play, or if maybe you're a deck like Mad Party or the Wormadam deck, theoretically, you could play this to discard not only your multi-prizers, but also your Pokemon to fuel your damage for your attacks as well. So this definitely could be solid. A lot of decks also usually don't have like a preferred stadium of choice, and this could be another sort of decent generic stadium just to put in your deck as sort of a counter stadium for other decks out there. So definitely like this, seems pretty cool. We do have the Magma Basin. Did kind of mention this earlier, but this is going to be the new Fire Energy Acceleration. Once during each player's turn, that player may attach a Fire Energy, my bad, from their discard pile to one of their benched Fire Pokemon. And if you do, put 2 damage counters on that Pokemon. So this is really cool. This might even re-enable Centiskorch VMAX to be a deck, because Centiskorch does attack for 2 energy to get up and running, and it really hasn't had many great ways at getting going prior to this. So maybe this could rejuvenate that as an archetype. But yeah, this is basically, I think, mainly going to help decks that attack for 2 energy. Like the Charizard VSTAR we just looked at earlier, I think it's going to be really difficult for a deck like that to function. But again, things like Centiskorch, Victini VMAX, etc., this is going to slot really nicely in to make sure you can always chain your attackers every turn. And then we have double Turbo Energy to round out our cards today. You guys are probably familiar with this one by now, but provides 2 energy, and then your Pokemon does 20 less damage whenever they attack with this thing. So I'm definitely a little bit conflicted about this card. I mean, the 20 reduction is kind of annoying, but if you're a deck that's 2-shotting things already and already hitting for around 200-ish, I think the 20 reduction sometimes won't even matter. But I'm stoked because this does re-enable decks like Mad Party or the Salazzle deck or the new Wormadam that we took a look at as well to actually be playable and function just as a deck again. So very excited to comb through the card pool and see what all we can play with this. But double Turbo Energy, I still imagine, is going to be one of the best cards we're going to see out of this set for sure. But yeah, guys, I think this is going to be a really solid set. We had a lot of stuff that was worth getting excited about here. I think the trainer cards kind of steal the show though. Specifically, where is it? Yeah, Choice Belt and Ultra Ball. I think these are like debatably the best 2 cards that we looked at. But a lot of the Pokemon honestly weren't bad either. In terms of the V-Stars, I think Arceus and Whimsicott are probably the better of the V-Stars, at least. Burrell was good. Garchomp, probably not the best, but I'm still excited to try it out. Yeah, just in general, a lot of good stuff that we took a look at today. But what are you guys thinking? What do you think about Starbirth? Do you think, are there any cards that I didn't give enough credit to? Any that, you know, I might have been a little bit too generous to? Let me know your full thoughts down below in the comment section. What are you guys thinking about Starbirth here? But yeah, those are going to be just some of my general knee-jerk reactions to these cards. But like I mentioned, I will be doing a full Brilliant Star set review as well. That'll probably come out in a couple weeks. I'll go much more in depth on some of these cards and have a couple more concrete deck ideas based on that as well. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video today though. If you did, be sure to smack that like button, subscribe, and ring that bell for notifications. That way you'll stay up to date with the rest of my Brilliant Star. And if you want to take your support to the next level, you can also become a patron over at patreon.com/rarecandytcg or pick up some merch over at rarecandytcg.com. I'll have links to those down below in the description. But as always, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.